despite my voice still not being fine. And yeah, thank you for noticing. We got a lot of critical information, so I'm kinda forced into releasing the video early. I wanted to release my predictions tomorrow, however, we got some pretty big news, so we better do it ASAP. Which means that there is not going to be a lot of editing in this video, however, because the information I'm going to present to you is pretty big, I hope you will not mind. So without further ado, let's have a look at my predictions as to what will happen during the 10th anniversary. Let's start with Senna. That one is pretty obvious at this point. There were a couple of leaks, including the massive splash art leak that was featured during it was one of the PBE builds where Riot screwed up and they released a splash art for Nocturne skin. Only it wasn't Nocturne skin, it was a brand new champion. We knew that Riot is planning to release a new AD carry from the Shadow Isles, so some people thought that it's going to be Senna, but the more sane people thought there is no way Riot can do that. Senna is connected to too many plot points. She is the reason why Lucian is Lucian, and she is the reason why Lucian hates Thresh. There would be no way to bring Senna into the game without breaking all the stories apart. But apparently, that is happening anyway. At this point, it is pretty much confirmed that Senna will be in the game, and that is for two reasons. Number one is that Riot released a new story where Lucian is just done with it. He is done with being tortured by Thresh laughing at him, and he is done with torturing himself by trying to figure out how to save Senna. Despite Senna being obviously locked in Thresh's lantern, and there being no way to escape that lantern. So because Lucian is just done with it, he's going to the Shadow Isles to probably just do his final duel. Now, we don't know the outcome of this. We don't know if Thresh is gonna die, which would be cool because he could be reworked into his form that you can see on the map, or Lucian will just figure out how to shatter the lantern. Either way, Senna is probably going to escape. And that's because the other reason why Senna is probably confirmed is because there was a leak. This leak comes from Garena's client, where there was a mission that mentioned Lucian, Thresh, bunch of other champions, but more importantly, Senna. Now, one more thing I want to mention. I did mention this the first time the new champion was leaked, but I still truly believe that whatever device that champion is carrying on her back, and at this point it's pretty much confirmed that it is Senna, I do think that it is going to be one of the devices that is from the Blessed Isles. Remember that the Blessed Isles were the only region with this kind of advanced tech. So it would be super cool if Riot actually took a champion that is from, well, technically Demacia, who kinda got onto Shadow Isles, and suddenly they are using a device from the Blessed Isles, because this will be the first time ever that we see anything from the Blessed Isles, ever. Anyway, with that, of course, there is a new cinematic, and with the fact that Senna did do a penis joke, no, sorry, actually Lucian did a penis joke about Senna, it is just confirmed Senna is happening, and there would be no better time than to announce it during the 10th anniversary, because that's when Riot is going to play about they are gonna pull their nostalgia cards, basically. Speaking of which, the second thing I think that Riot is going to release is a new event. I think this because on YouTube I'm subscribed to one person who is doing the art for Riot's login screens. Not all of them, but every now and then Riot outsources this guy to do them. And today, a couple of hours ago, he released a video where he showed us the 10th anniversary login screen. Every time I shudder, by the way, it's because I want to say the 15th anniversary. That's because I believe World of Warcraft is actually celebrating the 15th anniversary. So there are two anniversaries at the same time. Sorry if I say 15 instead of 10. But back to the login screen. Because the login screen is focused on one of the first login screens ever, not the very first one, that would be this one, I think that Riot will do a nostalgia event. Now, previously I said that I would love it if Riot released the old skins. As in, the original models as skins. You know, those that had like 3 polygons. That would be super cool, and I kind of hope that the champions that you can see on these old login screens are the champions that will receive these skins. There is a low possibility of that actually happening, but that would be really cool. But either way, I really hope that Riot is just doing something. With a new login screen, one would hope that there would be a new event. Hopefully a new game mode as well. But knowing what stance Riot has on the new game modes, I am not sure if that is entirely just, you know, within possibilities. Next, TFT is going to get something big. It was hinted a couple of times already, in 2 of the official posts and on Twitter, so I think that Riot is really doing something big with TFT. Now, as to what that could be, that's a totally different question. I think that they are going to do something entirely different from what we think that they would do. For example, I don't think that they will add new champions or new origins, or even new items. I think that they are going to use TFT for the things we wished that they would do. You know how in Hearthstone you have these adventures? how you can build a deck and go through the entire army of the Lich King. Well, how cool would it be if Riot did the same with TFT? What if you could load into a map that was designed like the Immortal Bastion? And there, what if you could fight against specific characters from Noxus? Maybe you want to conquer the Immortal Bastion, but you have to build a team that can fight through these armies. The first couple of rounds there would be Draven in the front lines, followed by Darius as the second boss. You could have Swain or LeBlanc as the third boss. And then if you manage to beat Swain, maybe the well within the Immortal Bastion erupts and suddenly there is Mordekaiser. There is a lot of potential in something like this. Adventure mode for TFT would be insane. And I really hope that they are doing this. And probably my biggest prediction is that there is going to be a new game. Riot has been working on a new game for so long, and we know that new game was not TFT. They are still working on something else. I already talked about this new game in a previous video, so I am probably going to repeat what I said like 6 months ago. Remember how I kept reminding everyone that Legends of Runeterra is still a trademark that Riot has? Riot trademarked Legends of Runeterra and they never use it. We thought that it would be tied to the comics, but the comics have entirely different title now, so Legends of Runeterra is still unused. Now, what is more suspicious, and what in my opinion actually confirms that this is happening, is that new accounts on Twitter popped up. And all of these new accounts have Legends of Runeterra as their name. There is Legends of Runeterra for EU, for Germany, and for all the other countries. But Legends of Runeterra is an account that's being just created by someone who wants to use it. Now, why for no reason at all would someone use this suspiciously trademarked thing by Riot Games? Well, that would be for the new game they are releasing. Now, if you want more hints that the new game is happening, suspiciously enough, Riot got a lot of fundings when it comes to League of Legends. First of all, some of the esports scenes, now I don't know a lot about esports, but I know that some of the esports scenes did get their fundings cut. But it's not only the esports. Notice how champions no longer get login animations. They only get new music. But Riot is no longer outsourcing artists to do those login screens. That's probably because they are using these teams for something else. But still, the biggest question would be, what kind of game is this going to be? Again, I'm going to repeat what I said a long time ago. If Riot actually releases an MMO, I am going to eat a sock just like G-Bay did. That's because MMOs are incredibly hard to make. 90% of all MMOs don't make it. They are usually consumed by the market because there are simply other good MMOs, or rather better MMOs. Because realistically, if you want to play an MMO, you need to commit time into it. But if you are already committed into a different MMO, it is really hard to switch. That is unless the first MMO screws up heavily. But MMOs are just not easy to make in general. You need to create an entire new world. You need to build infrastructure to actually hold a lot of players. And those players need to be active daily in that world. As I said, it's simply not easy. And because this is the second game that Riot Games will ever produce, or actually, not in the future, you know what I mean. I think it would be safer to make a single player game. And RTS would honestly be the best thing that Riot could do. Right now there is a void in that area. You can easily fill that gap. On top of that, RTS games are very good for expanding stories. That's pretty much where World of Warcraft got its story from. Warcraft 3 was that key. Riot can do the same with League of Legends. But the bonus is that an RTS is also a great esports game. Now the question would be, does Riot really want to have a second game for the esports scene? They are already covering League of Legends pretty well. Now having Legends of Runeterra right next to that might be a little bit too hard to keep in check. There is also the possibility that they will actually do a fighting game. I know that a lot of people don't want this to be true, including me, but hey, a fighting game is also an esports game, I guess. Now, what is suspicious about this is that the title is Legends of Runeterra, which means that one, yes, the game has to have the story from League of Legends, as in it is going to use the universe from League of Legends, but more importantly, because it is called Legends of Runeterra, it seems to be focused on specific champions. That's why it seems like it might be a single player game or an actual fighting game. Either way, I probably wouldn't think in the grand scheme. It kinda plays against the idea of RTSs, because in an RTS game you need to control an entire army, and in this case Legends of Runeterra would be worse than something like the Armies of Runeterra. Actually, that's a pretty horrible name as well. But I hope you know what I mean by this. Legends of Runeterra really feels like a name that would be focused on single character. Or characters, because it's Legends. Individual characters, that's the word that I was looking for. But that is it for my predictions. Again, Senna is definitely gonna be announced. There is going to be a nostalgic event, hopefully with some pretty old skins that I would love to see again. Speaking of which, the old Trundle would be amazing as a skin. There is going to be a big TFT update. And Riot is going to announce their new game, which is going to be Legends of Runeterra. I am really excited about this. And I simply can't wait to see what's going to happen. I won't stream on Monday, but I will stream on Tuesday. I will try to stream during the stream that, Riot is going to do, because that's when they're going to announce all the things. I hope that a reaction stream is going to be fine, because I really want to do this. There will never be another time that you can get my reaction on actually reacting, as to what Riot is going to produce. But that is going to be it for this video. I have no idea if this is going to be below 10 minutes, because when I'm recording I can only see the raw time. But when I cut it down, I just don't know how long this video will be. Anyway, thank you guys so much for being here, and I will see you next time. Hey, did you know that we have social media and Twitch where we talk about other league facts and stories? And did you know that we have neat mugs and shirts too? The links to all of that will be below. And as always, thank you, come again.